Michael from Roland's here in the studio. We're going to be talking about this little guy today. Kieran from Guitar here, and as I mentioned, I'm joined by Michael from Roland. Thanks so much for coming to the studio today.
Thank you for having me,
man. Thank you very much. For those that may be familiar with our Glasgow store, Michael is our very, very on-hand and very knowledgeable Roland expert who works in our digital department.
Yes.
So I've certainly got the right man here for the job today because we're going to be talking about the brand new Katana Go, which you're not really going to see a lot of from here because it's actually this little guy in the bottom of my guitar today. But the Katana Go has been out for, I think at the time of recording, it's about a week.
About a week,
so,
yeah.
And this is because it's been so popular, this is our first chance actually getting hands on it. You've had some experiences, exactly why I brought him in today.
Yes.
But this is my first hands on with this. And before I guess we dive into all the wonders that this little box has, I guess it's probably worth explaining to everybody who maybe is unsure what it may be at home. So it's a headphone amp,
Yes.
for sure, but there's a few special features within this that set it apart. Certainly from, I mean, the past couple of years, like you'll have noticed as well, man, that the headphone amp sort of game from a lot of other companies and certainly in the guitar world and whatnot, it's gotten a lot better than when we were younger, certainly, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they've gone from just being like cheap and cheerful ways to amplify your sounds to being effects units, simulating different amps, even audio interfaces as well.
Oh, that game changer.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's always been a great portable practicing solution,
Yeah.
but it's now gone into the realm of a portable recording solution
Yeah.
as well, which the Katana Go can do,
Yep.
as well as, like other headphone amps as well. But
Yeah.
there are a few things, like you said, that set the Katana apart from the competition as well.
which we will get into great detail, but
Yes.
certainly the from older headphone amps, I'm remembering all those, like, particularly those high gain sounds, man. Like,
Yeah.
it's just like we were just discussing, funnily enough, another Boss product before here, but our shared mutual love for the Boss HM2, which, you know what, I've got
Yes.
up the back here. It needs the little black box needs to get a little bit of love. My old
Yes.
one there, but that's categorically a tin of bees when you're playing it is what it's been described as. But all those old headphone amps certainly actually sounded like a tin of bees. in your
Yeah, but I
heads.
mean, it means you could play along to all your like early '90s Melodeath
Hey,
without a second thought, because it just sounds like
exactly. Leave your favorite Gothenburg record down in the comments
Yes,
below.
please
But,
do.
yeah, let's just dive into this, man, because there's certainly a lot to be getting on with today. And
Yes.
I think it's probably worth just saying as well before we're jumping in. All the sounds you're going to be hearing today are directly from the Katana Go. We've got it set up in the studio right now, where we've got it playing through a set of studio monitors so that me and Michael can both hear it. You can do that as well, but predominantly you're probably going to have a set of cans or something on here, or as we've mentioned, and again, we'll get into greater
Yes.
detail, you'll have this plugged directly into your computer. So yeah, everything is going to be straight from this guy. I'm using a Shure Alt-T because this can do a couple of different sort of tones as well, and specifically on some of those other amp sounds, we'll want some of those single coil sounds. So yeah, let's just dive into this, man.
Yes.
Because the first sort of experience that I had plugging this right in was you put it on a metally sort of tone for me, and I was just going to town on it, which was absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
But I guess let's check out some of, I guess, the sounds that this has got to offer
Absolutely.
in with it. 'Cause-
And we could do that either on board, or we could use the handy app
The
to go through
handy-
it as well.
the handy Boss Katana Go app, which is free for, I think, Android and both iOS, isn't it? Yeah.
Correct.
So
Yes.
doesn't matter what
So
you're using, you can obviously hook
We
it
can
up.
we can come back to this obviously, but then yeah, you can navigate because of the screen. You can use the onboard controls to navigate your different presets
And I guess you'll see probably in some other footage as well, but there is a little screen on this guy which actually tells you what the preset is and what your tuning is as well, which is a really handy little feature which you can get to very, very easily. But yeah, so the sounds you were hearing right at the start, that was one of the higher gain presets on there as well. But whereas some other maybe headphone amps, they focus predominantly on throwing a lot of amplifiers and different sort of sounds in it. This being part of the Katana family, it's a bit more focused. When I think you were telling me certainly earlier, like just in terms of its like actual sounds and whatnot.
Yeah, well, it's made by Boss, who are known for effects pedals, obviously, and who have now gone into the realm of amplifiers with the Katana series. But it makes sense that it makes sense that other, you buy a headphone amp and what do the people want? Well, they want lots of amplifiers, which hence the name.
Absolutely.
But with the Katana Go, it's a little bit different. You get plenty of different amp types, but what sets the Katana apart from the other headphone amps is that you've got over 60 different effects on there as well.
Wow.
For both the guitar and the bass mode, which is another feature that we can go into later. So, I mean, the cool thing about that is that if you need just an amp sound, if you just need to amplify your guitar, it can do that. But if you're on your couch and you want to play some metal, then you're gonna need, or even some there's a lot of guitar music out there that needs a lot of effects to get the sounds.
Certainly now, anyway. With the kind of developing tastes and techniques and whatnot as well,
Metal, shoegaze, sort of like the kind of Instagram guitar, neo-soul type stuff, even clean sounds, they need a lot to get that sound, all of which can be done with the Katana Go. And it just needs a bit more than just an amp.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I think we'd all love to just plug into a clean amp and have that be our sound, but realistically things have changed quite considerably.
Yeah, there's subtle reverbs, there's chords, there's compressors, all of that needs to be in there to get that sound.
And actually, you touched on a really good point there as well before we jump into a little bit more of the sounds and what this has got to offer, because I think the sort of scope now for headphone amps has become much more of, it's a lot more appealing to a lot more people, I would say, because certainly, still those folk who are maybe traveling, who've maybe got like a family, and they just want a little bit of, solo time just with solo time. But they stick their headphones on and can just obviously play to whatever they want. But with obviously the advancements of this, realistically, this could be somebody's, as we've mentioned, recording sort of setup. This could be their effects setup. And certainly one of the reasons why I really like the Katana, and what I would say to a lot of people, certainly from my experience in the shop, is actually for anybody who's looking to get into guitar effects, but they maybe don't know which way they want to go with it. There's a million effects out there, and there's a million different types of categories. So you might walk in and buy yourself a flanger, take it up the road, and go, I don't actually like this.
Exactly, yeah.
So having so much stuff built into this, it gives you a chance to obviously check this out.
And it's really, that's how I learned what effects were. I didn't buy 100 effects pedals because I would be absolutely broke. I bought different multi-effects units. For multi-effects effects pedals, and learned that way. And then once I found the effects that I liked and that I needed, I would then go buy and build myself a pedal board.
Absolutely, yeah.
But this is, like you rightly said, this has all your kind of common effects, but even the kind of weird and wacky ones that, do I really want to spend £500 on a pedal that I don't really know what it does, and I might not need what it does? You can at least test it, figure out what the effect actually does using that, and then if you want it, you can then, you can incorporate that into your setup.
You can then go buy that £500 pedal.
Exactly, from Guitar.
Hey.
But yeah, it's a much cheaper, more affordable way to sort of enter the world and of effects. Not just guitar effects, but also studio effects as well.
Yeah.
You can get a compressor guitar pedal, but you're also learning about rack-mounted effects and
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that. So when you are progressing a little bit in your playing journey, and you do find yourself in a studio trying to communicate with engineers and stuff like that, you've got the kind of lingo just from messing about with the multi-effects that are built in from the Katana Go.
Awesome. No, that's super excited to dive in. So why don't we do that?
Let's
right
do
now?
it.
So I'm just going to kind of scroll through a couple of presets. The way that Michael's got it set up right now is he's obviously got the app connected. So for some of these, we'll change out some bits. We'll explain what's going on as well. The app is obviously super easy to use. It's if you've used any sort of Boss Katana interface, or actually just any kind of guitar sort of like interface, you probably will get on totally fine with this.
Yeah, even if it's other like Line 6 or other sort of effects editors, it's if you can work one, you can work this.
Absolutely.
And yeah, like you're saying, it's derived from the same architecture as the Katana stuff.
Absolutely.
So if you already own a Katana or you've spent a bit of time with a Katana, you'll pick this up, no problem.
Cool. So our first one here, and I'll read it off my very handy screen just on here.
I should also add as well that like one of the good things about this is that the software helps, but it's not really essential. The good thing is that's what the good thing about the screen is. You can know where you are and know what you're doing with the screen, but the software is there to supplement rather than be essential to the experience.
Absolutely.
Which not everybody wants to be faffing about with phones. Not everybody wants to be faffing about with screens, you know.
You just want to play, which it's not saying that any of the the sounds in there are not great by themselves, because most of the stuff we're going to be just checking is like the straight up presets in here. So let us do that right now, which the first one is. This is the classic kind of brown sound lead, which I think is certainly one of the most popular in the Katana anyway.
Yes, exactly.
So let's check what this is out on our bridge pickup just now. Got that excited that I threw my plectrum away as well, of course. But yeah, that's a killer just right out of the box. Just there's your kind of lead tone from
it's patch 1 for a reason.
It's pure. Why would you need anything else?
Yeah, you play a blues scale through that. That's most of the sound you'll ever need.
While I do that on I don't know if I'm ready for the people on YouTube to see that from me yet, but let's see. Next 2A here, on to Modern Brown, and I'm not going to go through every single preset on here. Just I'll let obviously anybody at home kind of check out some of the sounds, but these are a few that you've shown me previously, and I've gotten particularly excited about. To be fair with them, so let's check out the Modern one. Definitely sounds. I mean,
if you
awesome,
if you need a high gain lead sound from that, that's one of those two will be.
I mean, then
that's do you for most of what you need.
Just our first couple of patches there as well, and obviously we're scrolling through just that little bit. It is very kind of like you're getting all the sort of ones that punch you in the face right first here, because this is just a couple up called Stadium Solo.
Yes.
Which this is not one I've tried either. How many E minor pentatonic solos can I play in one
I know,
demo, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, it sounded great. But I mean, like, there are plenty of sort of shreddy, high gain lead tones on there. But there is also, well, for example, one of my favourites, if you want to try that, is the ambient clean tone, which is very kind of progressive metal verse.
Yeah, absolutely.
before the chunky riff chorus.
Before the breakdown. So let's switch to our big split coil sound here as well, because this is absolutely primed for that. a great opportunity to show you that tuner as well. Hey, look at that segue. Which, again, you can actually, this is probably, if you want to show it on the screen there as well.
Yeah, so it's really, whatever you're doing on the app will be reflected instantly on the screen on the Katana Go, and also vice versa as well. So obviously Kieran accessed the tuner on the device, which then instantly went onto my phone, like that. So yeah, it's little subtle things like that. It's the sort of the back and forth is like really snappy.
Yeah, and again that just reiterates that point that the app isn't essential for this because of that really clear screen that is actually on the unit.
Yeah.
I did the tuning from there. Michael was he was able to just make sure I was really in
Yes.
tune on there.
And he was in tune. 440.
Well,
Every progressive metal verse ever.
I'm just gonna hang out on there all day. To be fair,
it's great though. Yeah, it's but it's really nice. It's like you've got your kind of classic shred stuff, but also some more modern sort of sounds that, like even I feel like that's a fairly ubiquitous tone there.
Yeah, aye.
It's just a pretty effects heavy tone, but yeah.
I guess that's one cool thing to touch on certainly with the time that I've had with this immediately, and not to say that other headphone amps are they're not stuck in the past by any sense, but there is always that kind of you've got your clean sound, you've got your crunch sound, you've got your lead sounds, and then you've got variations on them, and you'll have your classic kind of more all-round effects and whatnot, whereas like throwing in a big, huge ambient tone and this, as one of the presets, kind of shows that certainly the Katana Go is a bit more it's a bit more clued into what kind of styles of guitarists are kind of using these days. As we kind of touched on right at the start of the video, to get that, your clean sound may be a compressor, a delay, another delay, a reverb, and all the other, an EQ and all that sort of stuff on it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it shows that that's immediately in there, and it gives you like the palette to kind of move on as well. You can, as we've done, and we'll show just in a second as well. Mm-hmm. The way that you can edit all these is really quite simple as well. It's So for example, even if we're on that ambient tone that I was just talking about, this is where obviously the app comes in really handy for anyone who's a real tinkerer when it comes to obviously your tone.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, just loading up here. So yeah, we can select our, sorry, I don't know if can you see that? Okay. Yeah, so we can scroll through our different presets here, and then right now we've selected the ambient clean. So this is what I was meaning by it's good to learn on. So if you go back to there and then you go to editor, you can then get a bit more information on what amp you're using. You can see the bits that make up the preset, and you can then see what the settings are, and then you can take those over to other presets if you wanted, or you can add some more or change them out. It's very tweakable. That's a really cool thing about this, and it's color coded, which is nice.
Hey,
big fan of that.
Make things easier for us. That's the best way to do it. So even if I say for example, I'll just play along just a couple of little bits here. Mm-hmm. If you want to throw in even just I can see there's like a chorus in the chain there as well.
I'll mess with you.
Yeah, I'll let Michael do his thing while I just fart around with some guitar here. So
okay, so this is just stock here. So there's already a chorus in this effects chain that hasn't been activated yet. So I will just do that. So I've activated that chorus there. You can hear that how that's affected the sound, and then I can also activate another chorus, which is here. So let's. And that's another cool thing about this actually. Even in the presets, there's actually a lot of effects that are in there already that just haven't been activated. So it's not like you can add your own effects in there if you want, but there is also, it's quite fun to just go in and be like, oh, that isn't turned on. I wonder what happens if I do. And it's not random, it's stuff that lends itself quite well to that sound that you're already on.
Absolutely.
Stuff like, choruses for a sound like that would make sense.
For sure. And I guess it's a cool thing because you're able to obviously create your own presets with this. That's one point that I think really sets this aside as well from some of the other kind of traditional headphone amps, because you're able to create not only your own presets, but actually with that sort of setting there where you can have an entire signal chain that you can bring in and out as you want to. So say, for example, you want a particular amp, but then you want to throw like a distortion pedal on it, for something, you can completely do that just within the one preset, which is quite advanced for a little guy, that size, which is really, really cool.
That's quite a good segue into another really cool thing that I like about, I don't think I even mentioned this before, but...
We're just full of these amazing segues today. It's just unbelievable.
Look at that, another segue. So within the Katana Go app, you can load up YouTube videos and control them. So backing tracks, exercises, whatever, songs to play along to. Which is cool in itself, but another thing that you can do is actually, along the timeline, you're able to set markers for effects changes. Patch changes. So for example, if you need a clean tone for your verse, then go into a distortion, you could program that in, same as you would like a MIDI change if you were playing to a click
that was immediately
live.
the thing that popped in my head. I was like, man, that is proper like MIDI clock target
that's
triggering stuff.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like and I think that it just shows you that's we're targeting this to pretty much anybody. Even beginners will be able to work this, but even people that are playing stadium tours who are practicing like sets to a click, and are used to effects changes and so on that happen like inside like a DAW project or whatever, even that functionality's in here.
That's wild.
Which is really, really cool, and it's something I really like to do as well, actually, as someone who does do that sort of stuff live. I was very impressed by the inclusion of that feature.
Because I don't know about yourself, but certainly see at points I've maybe had like another headphone amp or something like that.
Yeah.
And as you're playing along to a track and you want to go from a clean to distortion, but have to go down and, press the buttons, on the side and everything. It's not the most elegant, shall we say.
No, it's not. And that's reflected to, even if you're using this to record as well, you could record, you don't need to stop recording. If you need to switch to a sound, you can just record your whole performance like you normally would.
Crazy. And it's all just coming from this little guy here. Yeah. That's crazy.
I'm a big fan. I really, really, I'm so impressed by it.
Yeah, I think I am too, to be fair.
Yes. Awesome. Glad to hear it.
Right, so I'm going to pass this on to you now, Michael, because we did touch on it earlier in the video, but unlike some other headphone amps, shall we say, the Katana Go does in fact do bass and guitar, which usually you would have to get one or the other.
Yes,
really. But
that's true.
With this, through quite an easy sort of switch, you do need to switch it manually. By just a really easy, you turn off the unit and then you hold the Bluetooth button, I think, and it just gives you the prompt to switch to bass mode, which you've done, and we're now hooked back up in the room as well. So let's.
In fact, I'm now also going to tune, actually. So I probably should have done that before.
We'll show you how good the tuner works on the bass as well, because that's another thing actually, is that you find sometimes with some tuners that they'll be more calibrated to guitar than they will be to bass, and when you're trying to get that low E, it's just not working at all.
Yeah, so we are being quite sensible with this bass, but as a 5-string user, I can also say that it does actually pick up the low B of a 5-string very well as well, which is usually... But I mean, that also goes for 7-string users for guitar and 8-string users and baritone.
For sure.
So you can do drop tunings, you can do like crazy low, like what do people play now? F sharp.
Oh like, man, I don't even want to think about it. I think it's we're now like 2 octaves below E.
It's C back, like your North Lane and Sleep Token and stuff like that. Like I'm playing like just silly tunings.
Shout out to all that baddie core out there.
Yes. So that's it's the thing. See, the thing I really like about this actually is that I have actually tried other sort of bass headphone amps, and like the guitar, I tend to find it much. See, if you want to play Motown on a P bass, the other bass headphone amps, great.
Stunning.
This can do that. It's got your kind of basic sort of flat. It's got your basic sounds and stuff like that, but it's also got things like modern bass tones, which to me tend to be a lot rattlier.
Yes,
a lot
absolutely.
more high end. Not only that, but you've also got a lot of even like kind of contemporary kind of pop bass tones and stuff like that, and also some pretty gnarly ones as well. Like, well, for example, we have our organ bass.
Oh, waiting to see how long it took him. Was waiting to see.
So is what, and I think that's what it is. As a bass player, people would assume that like, oh yeah, just bass amp. Oh, you know, just play the root.
Flat. Right into the DI. That's all we need.
Exactly. Which, okay, yes, a lot of the time that is what it is. But
you admit it. Like,
very occasionally, and especially when you're just messing around on your own without being in a band, like you want to do the weird stuff. You want to like just slap all these like weird random effects on your bass sounds, just to then show up at a gig and be told to play the root.
Absolutely.
But like,
come on now. Like,
but there's no reason why you can't. You aren't allowed to do that. And in the bass modes, there is just as many presets. So another 30 dedicated presets.
Cool.
Using 3 different amp sounds and over 60 different effects derived from bass, the Katana bass amps.
Yes.
So it's not just guitar effects that are just slapped on a bass and being like, oh yeah, there you go. You wanted some effects for your bass. Here's a tube screamer.
Yeah,
like
exactly. Yeah.
It is actually dedicated bass sounds, which again I really like.
Yeah.
So
it just you touched on it really well there as well. As you know, we touched on who this is for and what sets this aside maybe from the other ones. Is I think like the fact that it's got so much effects and there's so much focus on the effects with it. Not to say that obviously the amp sounds are not great in here, because they really are, and they're quite like malleable in the sense that you can get a nice clean tone, you can get that slightly pushed tone, you can get a full-blown metal tone, or you can go for more classic rock, whatever you want.
Yeah.
But with the ability to just mess around, that's kind of half of the fun when it comes to guitar stuff, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah, and I think that's why I like the signal flow view of the app quite a lot, because it's just as simple as what happens if I swap the distortion and the delay around?
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
You don't have to be messing about with patch cables and taking your Velcro off and moving things around and stuff like that. You can just drag and drop it and then just see what you end up with. Which again is quite, and it's one of the things that it's fun, but it's also useful as well if you're recording with it, because it encourages you to experiment.
Yeah.
And okay, you might not find your new main bass part, but you might find an interesting texture that you know yourself from having been in the studio. Like so much of that textural background stuff just comes from messing about with effects.
Total accident, and it's a lovely accident as well. But you know, I mean, I even recall back to times where maybe I just thought I wanted like a delay and a reverb on my board or something, and then found that like throwing a rotary in front of that or something, which, you know, I wouldn't normally go, I'm going to go out and buy a rotary pedal, you know. I would to get a chance to try something like that and go, actually, this really works for the situation I want to, is kind of the most fun thing about that, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah.
And I guess it's, you know, we'd be here all day if we were to go through all of the presets and all of the actual effects and everything, because it's chock full to the brim, not only on the guitar but also the bass side as well. But some of the kind of particular highlights, obviously all the modulation and all the delays and stuff like that as well. But there's even like little pitch effects you were saying in here for me as well.
Big one for basses as well. And again, especially from having done a fair amount of like session work, most bass players, they need an amp and stuff like that, but you usually need an octave pedal. Usually an OC5, which but like even stuff like that, you've got your synth, you've got your bass synth sounds on it. like
You clearly were at Thundercat last night.
I
weren't you?
know, right? So
Nailed it.
I know it is, but it's like those are very sought after sounds, they're very standard sounds now,
Yeah.
an octave bass sound, which again is just a bit more than just bass amp. There you go.
Yeah.
So even it's an extension of what you were saying before, where Boss were aware of what modern players need beyond just a good amp, and we kind of wanted to package that and inside the Katana Go.
Awesome. Yeah.
So, and that extends to bass as well, which I feel very seen by.
Listen, it's about time, to be fair.
I know.
Especially on our channel as well, where I didn't touch the thing out of sheer embarrassment of myself, to be fair. Cause
Well, I'm on my crusade now, so whenever I'm back, we'll be...
going to be a lot of bass.
a lot of bass.
Well. There's just a couple of last little bits that we want to touch on, obviously, before we round up on this. I'm sure we mentioned the fact this has got Bluetooth in it, but it does have Bluetooth, obviously, so you can hook up your phone or any sort of device and play your own backing tracks through it, or your own tracks and everything. That's pretty standard whack. Really, really cool. There's a couple of buttons on the side as well that you can actually save presets to, as well, if you want to very quickly just go between them on that side as well, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, so...
You'll need to see it in person to actually see it while we're sitting here with it plugged in. But then there's also just one last thing as well. It's called Stage Feel.
I was just about, neglected to mention it.
Mind.
Yeah, Stage Feel is really, really cool. It's not something we're really going to get with the speakers at the moment.
It's mostly a headphone sort of thing.
Yeah, it's for those that don't know, it's unique to Boss products, where it is started with the Waza Air, which came out last year, where it's basically, as the name would suggest, it's kind of like a spatialization of your sound. So rather than having your sound feel like you've got two speakers here, which isn't very natural, Stage Feel uses a kind of spatialization technology to actually position the sound sources in a way that you would expect if you were in a room with instruments. So what that means is, if I'm on stage and I'm playing bass and I've got an amp behind me, the amp isn't going to be here. It's going to be coming from behind me. So what that means is you can use Stage Feel to actually give the effect of that. And which sounds like a small thing, but again, it's just about immersing yourself. You can do it with other sound sources as well, so your backing tracks.
Yep.
You wouldn't expect a drummer to be in front of you, for example. You'd expect them to be behind you.
Absolutely.
So you can do that. It has presets, but again, these are all editable in the app, where you can drag and drop the different sound sources to where you want them to be. Which, again, it's a small thing, but it's all about immersion, you know. Nobody... When you're sitting there playing guitar with headphones on, you're picturing yourself on stage in front of thousands of people. And this just helps you get there. That's all it is.
And I mean, that's the closer we can get to that dream while sitting in our front rooms, I think the better, which...
Exactly.
It's a really cool feature. And I mean, I tried it out just with headphones before, and it's really fun as well. You know, not only does it... I think it gives you sort of a subconsciously different way of playing, because obviously it feels a bit more like a live scenario if you've been in one, and also it's just a cool sort of feature. But that was the funniest thing, was, you know, turning your head around and going, oh, it's moved now. Oh my God, look at that. That's crazy. And I mean, even if we're being real as well, the Waza Air, superb product, bunch of Katana sounds in there as well, because that's based on the Katana Air sort of technology as well. But that's about 3 times the price of this guy.
Yes.
You know, so if you want to experience that, but you don't want to go, you know, for the kind of slightly more premium sort of level, it's got it in it.
Exactly. And the Waza Air is, you know, it's 3 times the price, but you can make the argument of, oh, well, you know, you get a set of headphones thrown into it.
Absolutely. And those headphones are killer as well.
If you've already got a set of headphones and you don't need another set, then you can save yourself a fair bit of money just by buying this to then use your existing headphones with, which you'll be familiar with. You'll be familiar with how they sound, the response of them. So there's something to be said for that as well. So yeah, again, it's just giving players options depending on their circumstances, depending on their budget, depending on their equipment that they have already, and what the rig that they're kind of looking to integrate into. It's all about that.
I think that's probably the best kind of roundup I can give certainly from my experience with that, is, you know, the fact that the Katana Go has got so many options in it. You know, as I said, we'd be here all day if we were to go through every
Yes.
single one of them. So it's definitely, we implore you, certainly me and Michael both implore you, if this is anything that is interesting to you, get in and have a mess around for a day, because there's definitely, you know, probably about 80% of things in there that people like will really, really gravitate towards. Maybe some of those like super high gain ones if you're more of a kind of classic rock player, or those sparkly cleans if you're more of a metal player as well. Might not appeal to you, but hey, you never know. You might write the best new Instagram, you know, song this this side of 2024.
Exactly, yeah. And, you know, it's there for like, it's part of the fun, you know, it's got the stuff that you know, and it's got the sounds that you know that you use, but also plenty more to dig into that. And that's, yeah, exactly, that's part of the fun of
Absolutely.
like going into unknown territories without having to build a whole new pedal board,
Yeah,
for
man,
example.
absolutely. But let us know what you think about the new Katana Go down in the comments below. Of course, let us know if you're excited about it. If you've already got one and you're absolutely loving it, we always like to hear about that. And while you're down there, give us a like and a subscribe. It really does help the channel, so thank you very much. But from me, Kieran, and Michael, again, thank you for joining us in the studio today.
No problem,
We've
man.
been checking out the brand new Katana Go. Have a great day.